All right, so the question is, can I retire at 60 with blank saved for retirement? So we just looked at the 25X rule, and what the 25X rule says is take your annual expenses and multiply those by 25 to give you how much you need to have saved for retirement. So we have a 60-year-old individual. They've got Social Security at 67 of $2,800, and their annual expenses are $50,000. So they're doing retirement planning at 60. They've got $50,000 in annual expenses, and they're asking, can I retire with blank? Like, how much do I need to have saved for retirement? Well, if we do the 25X rule, we multiply the 50 by 25, that means they need $1,250,000 saved for retirement, okay? So now let's put that to the test. Let's say we retire at 60, and we're going to go to 67 for Social Security, and so that means our annual expenses are $50,000 with inflation, so they start at $4,166. So that's our expenses when we step into retirement at 60. Now we're going to give our expenses a 3% inflation rate. So that means that every year our expenses are going to grow by 3%. That's the 108-year average for the CPI, the Consumer Price Index, which tracks inflation. So we're going to use 3%. Now it could be higher in some years, it could be higher for decades, but if you look at a 30-year retirement, the average is 3%. We're also going to give the money that's invested in the market, our retirement savings, an average rate of return of 6%. So the reason we're going to use 6% as our average rate of return is I just feel like that's a very conservative number. The S&P 500 has averaged about 8% since 1950, so we're going to back off by about 2% to 60 to be a little bit more conservative because now we're in retirement. So we've got $1.25 million saved for retirement. We're 60 years old. We need $50,000 a year with inflation, and we're going to take Social Security at 67. So how much in assets do we have at 67? Well, based on this rate of return and a 3% inflation rate, we've got $1,413,319. So now at 67, we're going to start taking our Social Security, which means it's going to ease up the amount of retirement income that's coming out of our assets. We're able to let our retirement assets breathe a little bit because we've turned on our Social Security. Now the reason I'm using 67 is because for most of you watching, if you were born after the year 1960, your full retirement age for Social Security is 67. So if we take Social Security at 67, you're going to get 100% of your full retirement benefit. If you take it at 70, you're actually going to get 124% of your full retirement benefit. So for this example, if $2,800 is their Social Security at 67, then at 62, if this person took Social Security, 70% of that would be $1,967, so $1,967. So it's a really big difference by waiting those 5 extra years. But with Social Security and any kind of retirement planning, you need to make sure you're taking Social Security at the optimal time for you. It might not be 67, it might be 62 or 64 or 68 or even 70. Make sure that you have a Social Security plan along with your retirement income plan. So we've got $1.4 million at 67. Now we're going to get Social Security. So our expenses have grown to $5,236 with inflation. So this is our expenses. Our Social Security is kicking on. That's $2,800. So that means we need to take out of our portfolio, I'm going to just change this line real quick, $2,436. We're still going to have a 3% inflation rate. That's inflation. And we're still going to have a 6% rate of return. Okay? Now I hope it's okay. I'm doing more of a teaching right now. So I'm not trying to be fancy. I just want to teach you this. So we've got $1.4 million saved for retirement now at 67. $5,236 is our monthly expenses. Social Security is $2,800. So we need $2,436 coming out of this on a monthly basis with 3% inflation. So if we earn 6% from 67 to 77, we'll have, and actually let's go up to here because I'm running out of room, we'll have $1,949,000 saved for retirement or in retirement assets at that time. So we started with 1.25, and the reason we use the 1.25 number is because we're using the rule of 25. We're trying to say, does the 25X rule work for retirement planning? So at 77, we've got $1.9 million. We've grown our assets by about $700,000. Now keep in mind, this is a simple scenario on the board. In the catalog of my YouTube videos, check out some of the other retirement scenarios where we use the financial EKG software, because that's where we go into a deep dive. Like we're calculating in taxes, any kind of vacations, extra money, second homes, rental income, whatever you want. Sequence of return risk, which is the risk of market loss or market crashes within your retirement. We're able to calculate all that in, but we want to check it on the board first, because if it doesn't work on the board, it ain't going to work in the software. So at 77, we've got 1.949 in retirement assets. So now we go to 87, so let's go another decade. Again, we're going to earn 6%, that's our rate of return. 3% is our inflation rate. And our expenses have grown to $7,203, right? That's our expenses. They're getting a 3% rate. Now remember, we started at $4,166, and it's grown to $7,203. Remember, the majority of Americans surveyed in a recent survey of millionaires, they said that their expenses were higher than they expected in retirement. Only 8% had their expenses less than what they expected in retirement. So let's assume that our retirement expenses are going to be higher in retirement. So $7,203 is our expenses. Our Social Security, because of COLA, has gone up to $3,373. So Social Security has had an average COLA increase of 1.9% since the 1970s, when they started doing a COLA increase for Social Security. Now it's been a lot higher the last few years because of inflation, but let's just use that 40-year average, because again, I can't see the future. I had a crystal ball, I dropped it coming up the stairs, so what do you want me to do? 1.9% is the average COLA for Social Security. So now, what we need coming out of our retirement investments is $3,879. So at the end of this decade, earning 6% with 3% inflation, we've got $2,400,000 in retirement assets. So can I retire at 60 with $1.25 million? Yes, you can. So the 25X rule is a great way for you to really dig in to go, okay, do I have enough saved based on my current expenses? And you can do this at 45, you can do this at 50. So if you're doing retirement planning at 45 or retirement planning at 50, this is a great way to say, yes, I do have enough saved for retirement, or no, I do not, and what can I do to save more for retirement? Or what do I need to adjust to be able to retire when I want to? Okay, so I hope this entire video has helped. God bless. Bye-bye.